You've been told to visualize, to set intentions, to speak your desires into the universe and wait. They told you that if you want it badly enough, it will come. But here you are, still waiting, still frustrated, still wondering why nothing seems to shift, even though you've done everything the books, gurus, and influencers told you to do. You chant affirmations, you build vision boards, you repeat your mantras, yet your life continues on the same loop, delivering the same results year after year. The truth? You've been trying to manifest from the wrong place. You've been chasing outcomes without ever shifting the one thing that matters, your state of being. Because the quantum field doesn't care how much you want something. It responds to who you are, and until you understand this, you'll keep spinning in circles, trapped inside the same timeline, endlessly waiting for change that never arrives. Most people believe reality is fixed, like a single straight line moving forward through time. You're born, you grow, you work, you age, you die. Cause and effect march forward in a predictable rhythm. But this is only the illusion we've been taught to see. Quantum physics dismantles this entire narrative. Reality is not linear, it's not singular, it's not even stable. Right now, surrounding you, vibrating all around you, are infinite versions of your life existing simultaneously in a field of pure potential. Every possibility you've ever imagined already exists. Every version of you who succeeded, who failed, who healed, who suffered, who lived a completely different life. They are all there, vibrating in the quantum field like waves waiting to be observed. What you call your life is merely one collapsed version among infinite possibilities. This isn't science fiction. This is the nature of reality at its most fundamental level. Imagine a vast library containing every book ever written, every story ever told, every life ever lived, all existing at once. That's the quantum field. In the quantum world, everything exists as pure potential until it is observed. A particle exists in multiple states simultaneously until measured. Only then does it collapse into a single state we call reality. But here's the part they never explain to you. You are the observer. Your consciousness is constantly collapsing possibilities into form. Every moment of your life is the result of this constant collapse. And yet, despite infinite options, most people remain locked into one small, familiar timeline, living out repetitive patterns and calling it fate. Why? Because the act of collapsing potential into reality is not random. It's not controlled by your conscious wishes or desires. It's governed by something far more subtle and far more powerful, your dominant vibration. This is the part they don't teach in manifestation seminars. The field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are, being at every level of your system, your emotions, your beliefs, your nervous system, your expectations, your identity. And that is why most people fail to shift timelines, no matter how hard they try. Their conscious mind screams, "I want change," but their entire being continues to radiate the frequency of their old life. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you want abundance, but underneath, your body contracts in anxiety every time a bill arrives? How many times have you visualized love but secretly feared vulnerability and rejection? How many times have you declared confidence while your nervous system trembled with self-doubt? These contradictions are not just feelings. They are powerful signals broadcasted into the field, and the field always reflects your dominant signal. Not your loudest thoughts, but your deepest embodied state. You've been taught to believe that desire creates reality, that if you want something badly enough, the universe will deliver. But desire without alignment is powerless. In fact, desperate desire often reinforces the very absence of what you seek. When you desire from a place of lack, you amplify lack. When you visualize while subconsciously expecting failure, you amplify failure. The quantum field listens to your whole being, not your affirmations. It's like trying to tune a radio to a specific station while surrounded by static. The signal gets lost in the noise. Most people are collapsing the same version of reality over and over again because they are unknowingly broadcasting the same familiar frequency every single day. Their nervous system clings to the safety of the known. Their subconscious loops through old patterns. Their emotional body recycles the same fears, doubts, and insecurities. And so, despite all the conscious effort, the dominant vibration remains unchanged. The field simply mirrors it back. This is why you feel stuck, not because you're lazy, not because you're not trying hard enough, but because you're unknowingly tuned to the same channel, collapsing the same version of yourself repeatedly. The version of you who already lives your desired life is not in some distant future waiting to be created. It exists right now, vibrating at a specific frequency in the quantum field. Your job is not to create that version. Your job is to align with it. And this is where the real work begins, because shifting timelines requires more than positive thinking. It demands a shift at the level of your entire being. Your body, your emotions, your identity must align with the frequency of the timeline you want to enter. And the moment you embody that frequency fully, the quantum field has no choice but to mirror it back. It's not about striving to reach a future self. It's about recognizing and activating the potential within you right now. Some of what I'm about to share next goes beyond what platforms like YouTube allow me to openly discuss. That's why I've created the Quantum Shift Blueprint, a free guide revealing the 3 core principles to realigning your energetic signature. Access it now via the link in the description, because once you grasp how deep this truly goes, you'll see why so many never escape the loop. You'll understand why people can change jobs, relationships, cities, even countries, yet find themselves reliving the same patterns, feeling like they're cursed or unlucky. But it's not luck, it's frequency, it's coherence. And until you master it, no external change will ever be enough. The most dangerous part of staying stuck isn't that you consciously choose it. The danger is that you don't even see it happening. You wake up every day, carry out your routine, make decisions, and tell yourself that you want change. But beneath the surface, a far more powerful force is at work. Your nervous system's addiction to the familiar. What feels safe isn't always what feels good. In fact, most of the time, your system confuses familiarity with safety, and so you remain locked inside the old timeline, not because you lack ambition, but because your system fears the unknown more than it craves transformation. Resistance doesn't always show up as loud defiance. It often wears the mask of logic, caution, or even productivity. You tell yourself that you need to plan more before making that leap, or that the timing isn't right. You dive into endless research, convincing yourself that more information will eventually make you ready. But readiness never arrives because it's not your conscious mind delaying you. It's your subconscious desperately clinging to what it knows. Even when you long for change, your body responds to the unknown as a threat, triggering subtle patterns of self-protection that keep you circling the same familiar outcomes. This is the trap of the old timeline. You think you're moving forward because you're busy. You think you're evolving because you're learning, but activity isn't alignment. Information isn't embodiment. Most people are stuck in a cycle of intellectual consumption, mistaking knowledge for transformation. They read books, attend seminars, watch videos, collect techniques, and yet nothing changes because all of it remains at the level of the mind. The body stays wired for survival. The nervous system continues to signal danger whenever you approach the edge of your comfort zone. Procrastination is resistance. Overthinking is resistance. Perfectionism is resistance. Emotional numbness is resistance. Hyperproductivity that keeps you too busy to face your real fears is resistance. These are not character flaws. They are survival strategies. Your system has learned that staying in the familiar, even if it's painful, is safer than stepping into the unknown, because the unknown triggers the primal parts of your brain that are wired to detect threat and avoid risk at all costs. And so you stay in the loop, spinning in familiar frustration, wondering why life keeps repeating itself. The old timeline doesn't need your permission to continue. It simply needs your participation. Every time you tell the same story, react the same way, expect the same disappointment, or retreat into familiar emotional patterns, you are feeding the old timeline. The neural pathways in your brain become deeper grooves, automatic circuits that require no conscious thought. What once was a choice becomes an unconscious habit. And before you realize it, you are no longer choosing your reality. It's choosing you. This is where quantum physics and neuroscience intersect in a way that most people overlook. The observer effect in quantum mechanics tells us that observation collapses waves of infinite potential into form. But observation isn't limited to your eyes. You observe reality with your expectations, your beliefs, your emotional states, and 95% of that observation is happening at the subconscious level. That's why you can set intentions all day long, yet continue to experience the same outcomes, because your subconscious is still collapsing the same familiar reality. You are not failing because you don't want change badly enough. You are failing because your system is wired to survive, not to thrive. The subconscious mind prioritizes safety over progress, and safety to the subconscious means familiarity. That's why people can remain stuck in toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, or self-sabotaging habits for years. The pain of the known feels safer than the uncertainty of something new. Even your emotional patterns become addictive. Anxiety, scarcity, unworthiness, these emotional loops generate biochemical reactions in the body that become familiar signals. Over time, your nervous system becomes chemically addicted to these states, creating a physiological resistance to the very change you desire. So, while your conscious mind declares abundance, your body braces for lack. While you visualize love, your system remains armored against vulnerability, and the field responds to your dominant state, not your conscious intentions. The trap is so subtle that most people never recognize it. They keep chasing external solutions, thinking that if they just change their environment, their job, their partner, or their financial situation, the inner shift will finally happen. But it never does, because the shift doesn't start outside, it starts inside. It starts by rewiring the observer, by changing the internal frequency that collapses the wave of reality itself. It's like trying to adjust a reflection without realizing the mirror itself is warped. The version of you that lives in the new timeline is not waiting for external circumstances to shift. That version already exists in the quantum field, vibrating right now at a frequency you have yet to match. And as long as you remain entangled with the old version of yourself, wired to fear, lack, and doubt, the new timeline cannot stabilize. This is why people loop. This is why you see the same emotional patterns play out even after major life changes, because the field reflects your dominant vibration, not your temporary efforts. Breaking this cycle isn't about willpower, it's about coherence. It's about bringing your nervous system, your emotional body, your beliefs, and your identity into alignment with the version of you who already lives the life you desire. And coherence cannot be faked, it must be embodied. This is where most people struggle, not because they don't want it, but because they don't yet know how to fully become it. The quantum field is not a cosmic vending machine that responds to your wishes. It is not waiting for you to visualize harder, to chant louder, or to stack more vision boards on your wall. The field doesn't care how desperately you want change. It isn't moved by your frustration or your longing. What it responds to is your frequency, the total vibrational state you are broadcasting with every breath, every thought, every feeling, every action. This is where most teachings on manifestation collapse, because they focus almost entirely on conscious desire while ignoring the far more powerful signal of your embodied state. You can say all the right words, repeat affirmations thousands of times, and declare your intentions every morning. But if your nervous system contracts with anxiety when you look at your bank account, the field registers that contraction. You might visualize love, but if your heart remains closed, armored by past wounds, the field receives isolation, not connection. You can talk about confidence all day long, but if your breath is shallow, your posture is slouched, and your gut is tight with fear, the field mirrors insecurity. The universe doesn't respond to what you're saying, it responds to what you are being. Frequency is not a metaphor, it's not a poetic way of describing mood. It's a literal energetic state, measurable, broadcasted, and received by the quantum field in every moment. Every thought you think generates a chemical reaction. Every emotion you feel produces a hormonal cascade. These biochemical reactions influence your heart rate, your breathing patterns, your muscle tension, your brain wave activity. All of it creates a coherent or incoherent signal that radiates into the field. This is the frequency you are transmitting moment by moment. It's a complex symphony of energetic information constantly being broadcast. Most people live in chronic incoherence. Their conscious mind desires change, but their subconscious continues broadcasting fear. Their thoughts seek abundance, but their body braces for lack. Their words declare love, but their heart shields against vulnerability. This energetic contradiction creates noise in the signal, preventing the collapse of the new timeline. The field doesn't punish incoherence, it simply reflects it. The mirror is neutral. It always returns to you the dominant vibration you carry. The problem is not that you're failing to manifest. The problem is that you're manifesting with a split signal, and the dominant signal always wins. Your conscious mind might represent 5% of your cognitive activity, but your subconscious controls 95% of your behaviors, emotions, and physiological responses. This is why intellectual understanding is never enough. You can know all the theories, you can explain quantum mechanics, you can talk endlessly about vibration and alignment, but knowing doesn't shift the signal, only embodiment does. Desire without embodiment reinforces the absence of what you seek. The stronger your desire, if untethered from alignment, the more you amplify the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You look at your vision board and feel frustrated because you don't yet have what you're seeing. That frustration becomes part of your signal. You declare your goals but carry hidden doubts about your ability to achieve them. Those doubts vibrate louder than your declarations. The field is not deceived by words. It reads your coherence. This is why so many people feel trapped in cycles of effort without results. They chase the next technique, the next seminar, the next visualization exercise, hoping that one more tool will finally break them through. But each tool becomes another layer of striving, another signal of not yet being. The harder you chase, the more you reinforce the distance. The field reflects your being, not your striving. True manifestation, true quantum shift, is not about summoning outcomes. It's about becoming the version of you who naturally lives those outcomes. That version does not need to beg, plead, or bargain. That version already exists, vibrating in coherence with the timeline you seek. The work is not in convincing the universe to give it to you. The work is in tuning yourself to match it. This is why embodiment is everything. Embodiment means your thoughts, emotions, body, and actions are all humming in coherence with the state you desire. When you think abundance and your body relaxes into trust, when you declare love and your heart opens with vulnerability, when you envision success and your posture reflects confidence, that's embodiment. That's coherence. And when coherence stabilizes, the field collapses the matching timeline into form. You are not summoning a distant reality, you are aligning with one that already exists. The version of you who lives your desired life is not waiting in the future. They are vibrating right now in the quantum field. Your job is not to chase them. Your job is to become them. And when you do, reality has no choice but to shift. It's like stepping into a pre-made suit that perfectly fits you. In quantum physics, there's a principle that has fascinated scientists and mystics alike: the observer effect. It tells us that particles exist in a state of probability, a wave of possibilities, until they are observed. The very act of observation collapses these possibilities into a single reality. What exists is not determined until it is witnessed. This is not theoretical. It is one of the most repeatedly confirmed truths of the quantum world. But what they don't teach you is how this principle extends far beyond scientific experiments. It applies directly to your life, your choices, your experiences, and your reality. Every moment of your existence, you are observing not just with your eyes, but with your attention, your beliefs, your expectations, and your emotions. You are constantly collapsing potential into form. Reality isn't something happening to you. It is something you are actively participating in at every moment. You are the artist painting your own canvas of life. And yet, the vast majority of this observation happens beneath your conscious awareness. While you may believe that your desires and intentions are driving your reality, it is your subconscious mind that holds the dominant seat at the table. Studies in neuroscience estimate that around 95% of your behavior, thoughts, and decisions are governed by your subconscious. This means that while you consciously intend for new experiences, your subconscious continues to filter reality through old programs. Your subconscious holds your emotional conditioning, your past traumas, your inherited beliefs, your identity patterns, all of which create a powerful lens through which you observe reality. And because your observation is what collapses potential into reality, your subconscious becomes the true creator of your life experience. It's like having a co-pilot programmed with outdated maps. This is why you can consciously want abundance but subconsciously expect struggle, why you can affirm love while secretly bracing for heartbreak, why you can declare confidence while silently doubting your worth. The field listens not to your spoken words, but to the consistency of your energetic signal. And because your subconscious signal is often stronger and more deeply ingrained than your conscious intentions, it continues to collapse the same familiar reality over and over again. It's the energetic equivalent of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think about how many times you've tried to create change only to end up back in the same emotional loop. You change your job, but the feelings of frustration follow you. You find a new relationship, but old wounds resurface. You relocate to a new city, but the same patterns reappear. This isn't coincidence. This is the observer effect in action. Your external circumstances may shift, but your internal observer remains aligned with the old timeline, continuing to collapse the same frequency into form. And this is where the true trap lies, because most people keep trying to fix the external world, thinking that new circumstances will finally bring the internal shift. But reality doesn't work this way. The external is a mirror, not the cause. The field reflects your dominant state. Until you rewire the observer, the mirror keeps returning the same reflection. The loop persists not because life is unfair, but because the signal you're broadcasting hasn't changed. This is why willpower alone fails you. You cannot outthink your subconscious. You cannot override years of emotional conditioning by forcing positive thoughts for a few minutes each day. The subconscious operates like a deeply embedded software, running silently in the background, shaping your perceptions and reactions long before your conscious mind catches up. And because the field responds to your full system vibration, any incoherence between your conscious desires and subconscious beliefs creates friction, preventing new timelines from stabilizing. It's like driving with the brakes on. Rewiring the observer requires more than intellectual understanding. It requires emotional reconditioning. It demands that you bring your nervous system into safety with the unknown, that you teach your body to relax into unfamiliar states of abundance, love, success, and expansion, that you practice new emotional responses until they become your default state. When your subconscious begins to expect new outcomes as naturally as it once expected struggle, the observer shifts. And when the observer shifts, the field collapses new potentials into form. You are essentially upgrading the software of your subconscious mind. You have far more power than you've been led to believe, but that power isn't found in forcing outcomes. It's found in mastering your internal state. The version of you who already lives your desired timeline observes reality differently. They breathe differently. They respond to challenges differently. They carry different expectations in their body. They no longer brace for failure because failure is no longer part of their dominant frequency. And as you begin to embody this version of yourself, your subconscious shifts from expecting the old to normalizing the new. The observer transforms, and with it, your reality. This is the silent power of quantum shift, not loud, not dramatic, but profoundly transformational. Most people never reach this point because they remain trapped in the illusion that reality changes first, and then they will feel different. But the truth has always been the reverse. You change first, your vibration stabilizes, your internal observer aligns with the new timeline, and reality, like a faithful mirror, reflects back exactly what you've become. You are not reacting to the world, you are creating it. The greatest misunderstanding about creating change is the belief that knowing is enough. You've read the books, you've watched the videos, you understand the theory, you know about vibration, the subconscious, and the observer effect, but knowing isn't shifting, understanding isn't becoming. The gap between intellectual knowledge and lived reality is vast, and this is where most people remain trapped, stuck in the endless loop of acquiring more information while nothing in their actual life changes because embodiment is the missing key. It's like knowing how to swim, but never actually getting in the water. Embodiment means you don't just understand the concept of abundance, you live it. You don't just talk about love, you feel it radiating through your body. You don't just visualize confidence, you breathe it, you stand in it, you move through your day as though it's already fully integrated. Embodiment is not performance. It's not pretending to be someone you're not. It's not faking it until you make it. Embodiment is full system, coherence, mind, body, emotions, breath, and identity, all aligned with the version of you that lives the reality you desire. It's about becoming the energetic match to your desired outcome. This is where the shift becomes real, because the field doesn't respond to surface-level declarations. It responds to the totality of your being. When your nervous system relaxes into trust, when your emotions stabilize in gratitude, when your thoughts naturally default to possibility rather than fear, you begin transmitting a signal that matches the timeline you want to collapse into. And the field, ever neutral, simply reflects that signal back to you. The reason embodiment is so powerful is because it moves beyond intellectual striving into the realm of identity. As long as you are trying to get somewhere, trying to become something, you are broadcasting lack. You are confirming that you are not yet there. But when you embody the state, you stop reaching. You live as though it is already true, because at the level of vibration it is. The field contains every version of you simultaneously. The only thing separating you from any of them is the frequency you are broadcasting. You are not becoming, you are remembering. Consider someone seeking financial abundance. The common approach is to visualize wealth, repeat affirmations, and focus on the desired income. But beneath the surface, if every unexpected expense triggers anxiety, if every bill feels like a threat, if generosity feels unsafe, then the body remains aligned with scarcity. The nervous system expects struggle, and so struggle continues. True embodiment would mean breathing through financial tension with ease, spending with trust, and anchoring into the felt sense of enoughness long before the external evidence appears. When the body normalizes abundance, the field reflects abundance, not as a reward for waiting, but as a reflection of alignment. Or take someone longing for love. They might visualize a relationship, list ideal partner traits, and declare openness to connection. But if the heart remains guarded, if past wounds dominate present interactions, if vulnerability triggers withdrawal, then the field receives the frequency of isolation. Embodiment would mean softening the heart, risking emotional openness, practicing vulnerability even when it feels uncomfortable. It means allowing love to flow through you before anyone else arrives. The field mirrors the coherence of your embodied state. It's about becoming a source of love rather than seeking it externally. This is why most manifestation teachings fail. They focus on mental exercises while ignoring the physiological and emotional contradictions that continue to dominate the signal. The subconscious isn't shifted by what you think. It shifts when new emotional patterns become familiar. When your nervous system learns that expansion is safe. When your body stops bracing for rejection. When your breath deepens naturally in the face of uncertainty. These are the true indicators of embodiment. The mistake people make is waiting for external evidence to justify embodying the new state. They think, when I have more money, then I'll relax. When I meet the right person, then I'll open my heart. When I get the opportunity, then I'll feel confident. But the quantum doesn't work that way. The evidence follows the embodiment, not the other way around. You must live as the version of yourself who already belongs in the timeline you seek. The more consistently you do this, the more the field stabilizes the new reality. You are not reacting to the world, you are shaping it through your embodied state. Embodiment feels subtle at first. It's not always dramatic. It's the small choices you make in moments of discomfort, the breath you take instead of tightening in fear, the words you speak that reflect trust instead of panic, the openness you practice in situations that once triggered withdrawal. These small acts are not insignificant. They are the micro-signals that broadcast your alignment to the field. And because the field responds in real time, even minor shifts carry tremendous power. They are the ripples that create waves of change. You don't have to convince the universe to give you what you desire. The version of you who already has it exists right now. Your work is to match that version vibrationally. And when you do, reality cannot help but rearrange itself, not because you forced it, but because you became it. The field always mirrors who you are being. The universe is not a grantor of wishes. It's a mirror reflecting your energetic state. People tend to believe that massive change requires massive action. They think they need to overhaul their entire life overnight to create a real shift. But the quantum field doesn't operate on the scale of size. It operates on the scale of coherence. A small, fully aligned act carries far more vibrational power than a grand gesture fueled by desperation or anxiety. The real shifts occur in the subtle micro-alignments you practice daily. These are the quiet moments where your choices either reinforce the old timeline or stabilize the new one. Think of them as tiny seeds of change that blossom into a new reality. Micro-alignments are not dramatic. They don't look impressive from the outside. They often go unnoticed by others, but they are everything. When fear rises and you take a slow, steady breath instead of collapsing into panic, that's a micro-alignment. When scarcity whispers and you choose to spend with trust rather than contraction, that's a micro-alignment. When vulnerability feels risky but you choose openness over retreat, that's a micro-alignment. These small decisions, repeated consistently, begin to rewire your nervous system and recalibrate your signal to the field. The power of micro-alignments lies in their repetition. They are the small hinges on which big doors swing. Every time you choose coherence over chaos, even in the smallest way, you send a signal to your subconscious that the new reality is safe. Over time, these micro-signals accumulate, shifting your emotional baseline, retraining your physiological responses, and embedding new patterns into your identity. This is how you move from temporary effort to sustained embodiment. Change becomes who you are, not something you are trying to achieve. You are not forcing, you are allowing. Consider someone shifting into an abundance timeline. It's not about landing a windfall or securing a sudden financial breakthrough. The shift happens when they normalize abundance in their nervous system. That might mean expressing gratitude for the money they do have, no matter how small. It might mean spending within their means without guilt or fear. It might mean generously tipping a server or donating to a cause, sending a signal of trust to the field that there is always more than enough. These acts may seem insignificant, but they are recalibrating the entire system toward abundance. They are setting the stage for greater flow. Or take someone stepping into a love timeline. The shift doesn't begin when they meet the perfect partner. It begins when they open their heart in daily interactions, when they soften in conversations where they would normally shut down, when they allow themselves to receive compliments instead of deflecting them, when they reach out to others with kindness instead of waiting to be approached. Each of these moments sends a signal. I am love, I am safe in connection. The field mirrors this embodied state long before any external relationship appears. It's about radiating love from within. Micro-alignments also build resilience. You will wobble. You will have days where old patterns resurface. This isn't failure, it's part of the process. The power lies not in avoiding every slip, but in how quickly you return to alignment. Every time you catch yourself reverting to old reactions and gently choose coherence instead, you strengthen the new timeline. The field responds not to perfection but to consistency. Stability grows through repetition. This is where true mastery is developed. It's about progress, not perfection. Most people exhaust themselves chasing massive breakthroughs while ignoring the tiny daily moments where real change happens. They seek dramatic signs from the universe, hoping for external confirmation before fully committing internally. But the quantum doesn't reward drama. It rewards coherence. When your micro-alignments become second nature, when your body normalizes the new frequency, the field collapses the corresponding timeline effortlessly. The illusion of massive action often feeds the same scarcity mindset that keeps people stuck. The belief that I need to do something big to prove I'm ready is itself a signal of lack. True readiness is silent, it's grounded, it doesn't seek validation, it simply is. You're not trying to convince the field to deliver your desired reality. You're demonstrating through consistent, embodied action that you already live in that reality. Over time, these micro-alignments shift your entire identity. You stop identifying as someone who's trying to manifest and become someone who simply lives the state you once chased. Your actions no longer feel forced. Your emotions stabilize. Your nervous system relaxes into the new normal. You're not acting, you're being. This is where momentum takes over. The field no longer needs to test your alignment because your signal has stabilized. The timeline holds because you are no longer wobbling between who you were and who you want to become. This is the quiet power of micro-alignments. It doesn't demand grand declarations. It requires quiet, deliberate consistency. Every breath, every choice, every interaction is an opportunity to signal the version of yourself you are becoming. The field is listening. And the more stable your signal becomes, the faster reality shifts in response. You are becoming a master of your energetic signature. You don't force the timeline, you embody it, one micro-alignment at a time. It's a journey of becoming, not achieving. One of the greatest traps people fall into on the path of transformation is waiting. They wait for the right circumstances, for the external proof, for the signs that tell them it's finally safe to change. They wait for the job offer, for the partner, for the opportunity, for the money. They tell themselves, once it happens, then I'll relax, then I'll feel abundant, then I'll be confident, then I'll embody love. But the quantum field doesn't respond to waiting. In fact, waiting is one of the strongest signals that you are still entangled with the old timeline. Waiting reinforces the very absence of what you desire. It broadcasts to the field that you are still separate from your desired reality, that you are still hoping it will arrive rather than embodying it now. Waiting creates a vibrational gap between you and your desired outcome. The more you wait, the more you anchor yourself in the frequency of not having, and the field mirrors this back, perpetually keeping your desired timeline just out of reach. The paradox is that true shift happens when waiting dissolves completely, when you no longer need external evidence to justify your state of being, when you relax into the knowing that the version of you who lives your desired reality already exists, and that your role is simply to tune to that frequency now, not someday. This is not blind optimism, this is the deepest form of trust. The trust that your vibration precedes your experience and that reality always follows coherence. It's about trusting your inner knowing, even when external circumstances seem to contradict it. Consider someone waiting for financial abundance. They monitor their bank account, hoping for the breakthrough. They obsessively check for signs, for evidence that it's working, but every act of monitoring reinforces the lack. Every anxious glance at their finances signals doubt, not trust. True abundance is embodied long before the numbers change. It's found in the calm breath when paying bills, in the gratitude for what is already present, in the willingness to circulate money with ease, knowing that flow always returns. When this state stabilizes, the external catches up naturally, not as a reward for waiting, but as a reflection of alignment. Or imagine someone waiting for love. They scroll through dating apps, evaluate every interaction, and anxiously wonder when the right person will appear. But the waiting broadcasts loneliness. The expectation of being incomplete without a partner reinforces the separation. True love is embodied in the present, in the way they nurture themselves, in the way they open their heart to friends, to strangers, to daily moments of connection. When love becomes their natural state, it no longer depends on another person's arrival, and paradoxically, that's when aligned relationships effortlessly enter their life. Love becomes a frequency you embody, not something you seek. The field doesn't test you, it reflects you. The delay is never in the field, it's always in your alignment. The longer you wait for reality to give you permission to feel the way you want to feel, the longer you postpone the shift. The moment you embody the frequency, regardless of external circumstances, the field collapses the timeline instantly. Reality reshapes itself around who you've become. Waiting is seductive because it feels responsible. You tell yourself you're being patient, that you're giving the process time, but waiting is often disguised fear of disappointment, fear of being wrong, fear of fully committing to the new state without external proof. It's a subtle form of self-sabotage. But the quantum doesn't operate on time, it operates on frequency. The shift happens outside of linear time. It happens the moment coherence stabilizes, not after an arbitrary delay. This is why the most profound shifts often feel sudden to the conscious mind, but are actually the result of consistent embodiment. You align, and then suddenly everything clicks into place. Not because reality finally decided to cooperate, but because your frequency finally stopped wobbling. The collapse is immediate once stability is reached. It's like a switch flipping on. The key is to stop using time as your measuring stick. Stop asking how long it will take. The moment you ask, you've already slipped back into waiting. Instead, ask yourself, who am I being right now? What frequency am I broadcasting in this moment? Am I aligned with the version of myself who lives this reality, or am I still reaching for it? Every time you return to alignment in the present, you shorten the gap between you and the timeline you desire. The more present you are, the faster the shift occurs. This is the quiet revolution of quantum shift. You stop chasing, you stop waiting, you stop bargaining with reality, you simply become, and reality, ever faithful, mirrors that beingness back to you. The timeline doesn't shift when you finally get tired of waiting. It shifts the moment waiting is no longer part of your vibration. You are not waiting for life to happen, you are making it happen. Shifting into a new timeline isn't the ultimate challenge. The real mastery is sustaining it. Most people believe that once they collapse a new reality, the work is over. But the quantum field remains responsive every moment. It doesn't lock in your reality based on one moment of alignment. It continuously reflects your state of being. The timeline you inhabit stabilizes not through occasional bursts of coherence, but through consistent embodiment. It becomes your new normal when your entire system learns to hold the frequency effortlessly, even when life throws contrast your way. Sustaining is about becoming a vibrational match to your desired outcome day in and day out. At first, this can feel like walking a tightrope. Old patterns whisper in the background, trying to lure you back into familiar loops. Doubt creeps in, especially when external circumstances momentarily wobble. But this is not a sign that the shift has failed. It's an invitation to deepen your mastery. The old timeline loses its grip not through force, but through your unwavering decision to return again and again to coherence. Each time you notice yourself slipping into fear, lack, or self-protection and you gently guide yourself back into alignment, you strengthen the new frequency. This is where true power is forged. It's about becoming resilient to the old patterns. Sustaining the shift begins the moment you wake. Before your feet even touch the floor, you have an opportunity to set the tone. Ask yourself, what frequency am I bringing into today? Am I carrying fear or trust? Am I expecting struggle or ease? Your nervous system listens closely in these early moments. A simple breath, a quiet intention, a few words of gratitude can calibrate your entire system before the world even has a chance to intrude. Throughout the day, micro-alignment becomes your practice. These aren't grand rituals or elaborate routines. They're small choices made in real time. They are the compass guiding you back to your chosen timeline. When a challenge arises, do you react with, so to bring it all together, the key to truly transforming your life isn't about chasing external results or desperately trying to manifest your desires. It's about becoming the person who already embodies the reality you want to experience. It's about shifting your frequency, aligning your inner state, and trusting that the universe will faithfully mirror back who you are being. It's about recognizing that you're not just a passive observer of your life. You're the active co-creator, constantly collapsing potential into form with every thought, feeling, and action. Now, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on all of this. What resonates with you the most? Have you experienced this in your own life? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories, answer any questions you have, or just get a conversation going. And if you found this helpful and want to dive deeper into this kind of stuff, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future explorations of consciousness, quantum physics, and the art of creating a life you truly love. Thanks for being here.